So hello everyone, my name is James or Ice Luigi on this channel, and I am animator, writer, and storyteller. And an illustrator, so I love art of all forms and kinds, and I love fantasy art. This is on the Bootleg Boy channel, and this art is done by. This is done by Valentin Peroele. I probably didn't say that last name right, but yeah, it's super beautiful art. I think that's super cool. So to start off this stream, wanted to share a story that I've been working on. I've picked up writing again. I took a screenwriting class in college and found I really like to write. I really like to write fiction. And I've been doing a lot more reading, which has helped with writing, of course. And I wanted to share some of that writing with you guys. So I'm just gonna be kind of the narrator, narrating the reading of this story that I wrote. It's in this fantasy world that I created that kind of has different guilds in different provinces, and this one takes place in the woods. So I thought this artwork by Valentin would be really cool for sharing that. Just wait a bit and then get started. Just making sure that's running. So, let's get into this. So if you have just joined, we're going to be sharing a story that I've been writing. It's about a young elf named Alaseir. So someone sent me in this character idea. Their idea was an elf ranger who is a master of bows and other range weaponry from Roandale, which is kind of near the center wood, this giant tree from which all magic springs. That's where this elf is from. Okay, and yeah, so let's get this started. The river water rushed by as Alaseir stood waist deep in frigid depths of blue. Bubbles surfaced on the water. Alaseir took one look below and dove down without a second thought. A Rowan-Dalian charm of amber shone brilliantly from around his neck, golden light against the blue as Alaseir swam down towards the riverbed. There, beneath the water, lying on the riverbed, a battered Shroom Crow struggled to rise to the surface. Alaseir set the crow in his sights and scooped it in his hands as he rose to the surface. Breaking through the water into the open air, Alaseir breathed deeply, gasping for air, after a great lack of it. Alaseir shook his head as he reached the shallows, his turquoise hair parting ways with the river water. He lay down on a riverbank with the crow on his chest rising and falling with each breath. "You okay there, little dude?" Alaseir smiled, still partly out of breath. The Shroom Crow coughed and sputtered for a bit before stretching out its wings. It almost reached full extension, but then shuddered in pain, reaching back and returning to a more protective pose. "Got your wing there in a right twist, have you?" Alaseir replied, sitting up. The crow tweeted softly against the afternoon air. Alaseir reached over to a large pack lying against the tree, set aside before he dove into the water. "This will only take a second." The young wood elf now had bandages in his hand, which he wrapped expertly around the bird's broken wing. "There you go." Alaseir spoke softly to the bird. "I'm not usually in this part of the woods. Alaseir continued, looking at the Shroom Crow as it timidly trotted about on the riverbank. "Bet you're glad I stopped by and saw you fall from that tree there." Alaseir looked up at the ancient tree. "Hunters are the worst. You know, people's just got to be better informed about things, that's all." The bird looked up at Alaseir, a bit puzzled by the strange teal-haired boy. "Well, we best be getting you somewhere warm and dry. Are you good with that?" Alaseir questioned. The little Shroom Crow nodded, hopping into Alaseir's palm. "Well, right as rain. Let's get going." Alaseir held the crow in his hand as he tossed on his pack and swung his staff over his shoulder. Then they journeyed out into the afternoon wood. The boy and the bird approached a hollowed tree with an entrance just below the roots. "Home sweet home," Alaseir exclaimed. He stepped over the roots of the tree, ducking his head as he entered the inner chamber. It was much larger and homey than it seemed from an outside first glance. It was a great dome of wood, with lanterns set on either end of the chamber. A shelf of well-worn books and tomes sat on the eastern end, and a small kitchen on the western. In the center sat a hearth of wood and kindling. Alaseir set the crow on his bed as he went about setting the fire to light. The fire sparked and roared to life. "I'll get you something to eat." Alaseir searched the pantries and drawers for some sight of food. After a while, he found half a loaf of bread. And that's what I got written up to now for this story. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Just a little story. Alaseir, the elf. And yeah, it's been really fun writing these, and something that I found in writing that's been really cool is descriptive imagery. I love the poetic imagery that Tolkien uses in his writings, and that's something I've been striving for, so you can really get the feeling that you're in that place, and it just kind of caresses your brain a little bit. It's just nice and beautiful to hear it, and yeah. And working on the world building and different charms and stones and magic and stuff like that. And the Shroom Crow, I imagine it kind of like a black crow, but then with like little mushrooms growing all over his back and on his head and stuff. Kind of like a fungus crow, fungus bird, a bird that's covered in fungi. So yeah, it's been really cool to write and figure out different voices for these characters. I love voice acting, and that's been really cool to work on as well. So yeah, it's been really awesome. And like, I'm still learning a lot when it comes to writing and stuff. So if you guys have any ideas or tips and tricks, or if you have a story idea you might want to see come to life, let me know. And now I wanted to do some like brainstorming for this story idea that I had. Let's see. Might want to. So I had this idea, I saw this drawing, I need to figure out who the artist is, but it was really cool. It kind of reminded me of like Harry Potter a little bit, and also just of different like cool fantasy stories, and it like helped me to really see how much I do love modern fantasy stories, and that have kind of like that little modern twist to it. I think it's a really cool thing. So far what I have is 3 witch dudes who live in the woods and bake bread. The series follows their misadventures in baking, perhaps. Each of them does magic differently in 3 different styles of baking. 3 dudes, one, going off of this drawing, there's like one with black hair and one with white hair. You know, white-haired characters, they're cool. They're super cool. I thought it could be cool to... Can I make this full screen? Ah, there you go. So with like the 3 different styles of baking, I was thinking, like, I was trying to think of 3. One of them that I was thinking was like, I also wanted to bring in magic into the baking, but I was thinking like one thing with baking that could be cool, like someone that bakes, one witch bakes like sweets, so like cinnamon rolls, like sweet bread, stuff like that. And then one witch, and then I was like, maybe one witch bakes savory stuff, but then it's like sweet and savory, like what else is there? But I thought one could, like, their focus is on like solely bread. And then I don't know, I'm trying to figure out what the other witch would do.